everybody, it's Kristen with Hooks, Books, and Wanderlust. Today I want to share with you a pattern for my mini lemon bunting. I made this pattern up because I recently got into tiered trays, kind of like the farmhouse decor thing, and I just wanted a little bit of something extra for my lemon theme this summer. So let me show you my sweet little lemon bunting. So here is my tiered tray, and as you can see, there is a lot of lemon going on. I've got these super cute little signs that were handmade for me by my friend Alana from Alana's Design Studio, and I'll link her shop in the description box below. But as you can see, here is the little mini lemon bunting. And you can make this bunting as big or as small as you want. You just have to make more lemons or less lemons. I've got 4. I felt like that was like the perfect size for my little tiered tray here. And the lemons are about 4.5 inches long. I can't remember what the width is off the top of my head, but I will put that in the description box for you guys too. So, all made with basic stitches. This is definitely a beginner-friendly project, so don't be afraid. It looks more complicated than it is, I promise. So with that, let's get to it. Okay, so we are ready to get started making our first lemon. And to do this, you are going to need a size G or 4mm crochet hook, a large eye tapestry needle, some scissors, your yellow yarn, and your stem and leaf yarn. So here I am working with I Love This Cotton from Hobby Lobby. The yellow color is called Curry, and the green color is called Olive. So as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of yellow left. I've been making quite a few of these for my shop, but it doesn't take a whole lot, thankfully. So, yeah, let's get started. I will put all of the final pertinent details, yardage, hook size, all that fun information in the description box, as well as the full written pattern, just in case you need to refer to that. But for the video purposes, we're just going to go ahead and jump in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a magic circle. Now, if you have seen my magic circle tutorial, then you might know that I make mine a little differently. I start with my yarn tail in my left hand, my working yarn in my right, and I just use my finger to make a loop, crossing my working yarn on top of my yarn tail, as you can see here. And then I fold that working yarn under my loop so that the loop is folded down on top of my working yarn. Then I'm going to take my crochet hook and grab that working yarn and just pull it through a little bit. I'm not going to pull it all the way like I would a slip knot because I want to leave my ring open. I'm going to chain 1, and that is the start of my magic circle, or magic ring as we call it. So I'm going to start my first round of stitches with 6 single crochet stitches. So I'm going to go directly into the center of the ring and work 6 single crochets. Okay. Now you'll notice that I have left a nice long tail here. I like to leave a long tail, especially on any magic circle project, because I want to be able to weave that tail in really well. So I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit here, not all the way, but just enough to get me where I need to be. And I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet that I made to join my round. And now that my round is joined, I'll go ahead and pull that yarn tail and pull my circle closed. No gap. Okay, so we are ready to start round 2, and I'm going to chain 1 for my round height, and I'm going to work a single crochet increase into each of my 6 stitches from round 1. An increase is when you work 2 stitches into the same stitch. So I'm going to single crochet 2 times into this first stitch. And that one can be a little tight just because of the join plus the extra stitch. So I've got 2 into the first one. Two into the second. That's my second increase. Increase 3. Increase number 4. Increase number 5. And increase number 6. So now I should have 12 stitches in my second round, and I'm going to join to the top of the very first single crochet I made of that round with a slip stitch to close it. You might have to pull on that magic ring tail again just to keep it. Sometimes as you work those subsequent rounds, it might open up a little bit more on you, so that's okay. It's perfectly fine. Just keep tugging it if you need to, or you can wait until the end, but I usually tug it just a little bit as I go. All right, so we're ready for round 3. For round 3, we're going to continue with our flat circle technique here that we've been working on, and we are going to single crochet in the first stitch, and then we're going to single crochet increase on the second, and then we're just going to repeat that around. So in the first stitch, work a single crochet. In the second stitch, work a single crochet increase. So 2 stitches, 2 single crochets into that second stitch. So now you'll have 3 stitches, and you're just going to repeat that sequence. So the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single crochet, followed by an increase. So 2 stitches into that next second stitch. And you'll just keep going like that all the way around, increasing every second stitch. Single crochet 1, and then single crochet increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet increase. Single crochet 1, single crochet increase. So you should end with an increase because you started with a single crochet. So we're going to join our round same way we have been, with a slip stitch to the first single crochet of the round. So that is round 3. For round 4, we're going to continue our flat circle. We are going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches. I'm going to chain 1 for my height here. Single crochet in the first 2 stitches, increase on the third. So single crochet 1, single crochet 2, and then increase on that third stitch. And repeat that around. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, increase. Okay, and I'm coming down to my last repeat of those stitches. 1, 2, and my last increase here in the last stitch. Join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet of the round. Okay, so that is round 4. You should have 24 single crochets. Go ahead and count your stitches at this point to make sure that you do have 24 stitches, because the next 3 rounds are going to be a little convoluted as we make that lemon shape. So go ahead and pause, count, and then come right back. Okay, so we're ready to start round 5, and I'm going to, again, put all of these instructions in the description box below because it can be a little bit convoluted. So stay with me here. I'm going to talk you through every single stitch and we'll make sure that we get through it together. Okay? So just like every other round, we're going to go ahead and chain 1 for the height, and we're going to single crochet 2. So single crochet in the first stitch and in the second stitch. Then we're going to work an increase in our third stitch. So that's 2 single crochets in the third stitch. From here, we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Increase again in the next stitch. So work 2 single crochets into this next stitch. All right. Now we're going to single crochet the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, and increase on this third one. Then we're going to single crochet over the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, increase in the next stitch. 1 and second, there's our increase, 2 single crochets worked into the same stitch. Now we're going to single crochet over the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to work another increase here in our next stitch. Pull out my yarn a little bit here. Okay. Now we're going to single crochet 2. 1, 2, increase in the next stitch. So there's our increase, 2 single crochets into that same stitch, and we're going to finish with a single crochet in the last stitch. Now you're probably asking yourself why I did it this way. And the reason is I want to stagger the increases as much as I can so that we start getting some of the roundness where I want it, and then we'll keep points where we're going to put the make that lemon shape. So there is a method to my madness, I promise. All right, so if you count your stitches right now, you should have 30 single crochets going all the way around. So you might want to pause, count, and then come back. Okay, so we are ready to begin round 6, and the first thing we're going to do again is chain 1 to start the height for our round, and right off the bat we're going to begin with an increase stitch. So we're going to work 2 single crochets into that first stitch. Then we're going to single crochet over the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to increase in the next stitch. So that's 2 single crochets worked into that one. And then we're going to single crochet the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. All right, here's where we start making our shape. So instead of using a single crochet increase in the next stitch, I'm actually going to use a half double crochet increase. It's worked the same way, but it's just using a half double crochet. So you're going to work 2 half doubles into the next stitch. So there's my first and second. So that is a half double crochet increase. So that's going to start getting us towards the little points that you get on the lemon shape. Next, we're going to single crochet into the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and then we're going to regular single crochet increase into the next one. So just single crochets, 2 single crochets into that same stitch. Then we're going to single crochet the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, let me double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. So I've got my 5 single crochets. I'm going to go ahead and single crochet increase into the next stitch. And pull some more yarn here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. Now I am at the opposite end of the opposite side rather of my half double crochet increase. So I'm going to work another one into the next stitch. So half double increase into the next stitch. That's 2 half doubles worked into the exact same stitch. All right, and then I'm going to finish off by single crocheting into the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then just like we have been, we are going to slip stitch to the first single crochet of our round. So now you can see we're starting to get that lemon shape. And honestly, you could totally stop here if you didn't want your lemons to be as big. This is still a pretty cute little lemon shape, but I am actually going to make it a little bigger and a little more pronounced. So I'm going to work one more round. If you want to pause and count your stitches here, you should have 36 total stitches. 4 of those stitches should be half double crochets. So go ahead, pause, count, and come back. Okay, so we are back. We're ready to do round 7, our final round. We're going to start again with a chain 1 for our height, and we're going to single crochet into the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to work our increase, just a single crochet increase here. And then we're going to single crochet into the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, now we're creeping up on that little point from the previous round, and I'm going to make it a little more pronounced this time. So I'm going to half double crochet into this next stitch. This half double crochet will be worked into the first half double from the previous round. And then I'm going to do a half double increase into the next. And then a half double in the next stitch. Okay, so now I've made that a little bit more pronounced, and I'm ready to keep going with the next part of my side here. I'm going to single crochet over the next 6 stitches here, in each of the next 6 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to work a single crochet increase. Pull some more yarn here. Okay. All right, now we're going to do single crochets in each of the next 6 stitches again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to do a single crochet increase. And then we'll single crochet 1, half double 1, and then we'll do a half double increase into that next stitch and end with another, and our little point here with this half double in the next stitch. Okay, and from here you're going to single crochet 3 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, ending with an increase in that last stitch. All right, so I want to show you a little trick, and this is something that I'll do when I don't want my final slip stitch to show on the front when I tie off, because you get that kind of telltale knot. I'm going to pull my working loop just a little tall here and turn my work around, and I'm going to work my hook into the first single crochet of my round, but from the back to the front. And I'm going to grab that working loop and I'm going to pull the loop to the back of my work through that stitch. From here, I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch, pull it nice and tall, grab my snips, and now you can see that my knot is on the back of my work and not the front. So as you can see, I've got this really cute little lemon shape, and I'm going to set this aside. If you want, you can go ahead and weave in your ends here. Make sure that when you do that, I like to go a couple of different directions. This isn't something that's going to get a lot of use, like a washcloth, like, you know, this is mostly for decor. So it doesn't have to be crazy tight, but I usually like to go a couple of circles in my magic circle, and then go back and forth a couple of times when I tie things or weave my ends in. So that's our lemon. I'm going to put that aside for now. And now you can go ahead and grab your leaf and stem yarn. Now you can certainly make these different colors, like have a stem be one shade of green and your leaf be a different. I like mine to be the same, you know, to each their own. So here's how we're going to make the leaf. So the first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot, which starts out like a magic circle, except I pull it all the way tight. Okay, and I'm going to chain 8. I did not change any hook sizes or anything like that. Chain total of 8. And then you're going to slip stitch into the second chain from your hook. Now, normally when I'm working stitches into a chain, I like to work into my back bump, but for the leaf, we are not going to do that. We are going to go straight down into the top V of our stitches. So basically, we're going to work a series of stitches on this side, and then we're going to turn our work 180 degrees and then work some on this side. So when I say slip stitch into the second chain from your hook, I mean like this. Pick up that top loop only. Next, we're going to single crochet. We're gradually going to get taller as we work our way to the middle of our chain. So that's a single crochet. We're going to half double into the next one. Double crochet into the middle chain here. And then we'll get smaller as we head back towards the end. So half double, then a single, and ending again with a slip stitch. Now it doesn't look like much yet, so bear with me. In order to turn this 180 degrees, we are going to chain 1 to make that happen. And then we're going to, sometimes it's a little tight getting into this first chain. You want to make sure that you get between, you just get that top loop from your top V between your back bump. It's on the back side here. And then you're just going to slip stitch like you did in the first stitch on the other side, and then keep going, same thing. Pick up that other loop, single crochet. We're going to half double into the next chain, double crochet into the middle one. Whoops, I picked up the bump there. There we go. Half double, single, and slip stitch into the last one. And then I'm going to again chain one, and then I'm going to use my same technique I showed you in the lemon to tie off my work. I'm going to come at it from the back under that top V of my first slip stitch and pull my working loop through it. And then slip stitch and pull tight. Now for the leaf, I am going to leave a really long tail, and that's because I'm going to sew these gaps that are created here from our working into both sides of that chain. We have these little gaps. So I'm going to sew that together, but I also want a nice long tail so that I can sew that onto my lemon later. Okay, so let's go ahead and close up those gaps. I'm going to grab my tapestry needle and thread it with my yarn end. And on the back side of my leaf, so you have the front here, you can tell it's got the nicer looking stitches, and then on the back it kind of looks a little bit more of a mess. So I'm just going to kind of weave in and out to try and sew up that gap, those gaps in my leaf. So I'm going to go under my stitches here. If I can get under them here. Here we are. And you'll notice that there is this little bar here. That's the back bump from our chain. I'm going to go under that to the other side. And then I'm going to go under the stitch over there too. I'm just going to go back and forth, making sure every time I cross over, I go under one of those back bumps from the chains. It doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it gets closed. So under that back bump. Under my stitch. Under that back bump. Just about to the end here. Coming up on the slip stitches, and I'm just going to work my way up through the middle there. Okay, so now I have got my leaf, my gaps have been closed, got a nice little point on the end, and two long tails to attach that to my lemon. So we'll set that aside for right now, and we're ready to start our stem rather. The stem is pretty simple. Again, you're going to start with a slip knot. You're going to chain 6. If you want a taller stem, you can work more chains. You want a shorter stem, you can work fewer, but I'm starting with 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one more. And now I'm going to work into those back bumps. I'm going to slip stitch into every chain all the way to the end, starting with the second chain, working under the back bump, and slip stitch. Every back bump. Right there. And it has a natural tendency to want to curl. I don't fight this because I think it looks nice. And then I'm just going to tie off with a little you know, chain stitch that I pull all the way through. Leave a long tail for sewing. And that's really it. I don't fight the curl on it because I kind of like the way that it does that. I think it looks a little more lemon-like, if you will. So leave that long tail for sewing. And I'm going to clear my workspace here and I'll show you guys how to sew this on. Okay, so I'm ready to sew my leaf to my lemon. And before I decide which insertion point I want to do, I lay my leaf out and see which of my tails kind of naturally falls to the left and which one naturally falls to the right. I always do the left first because I want to attach it here in this same spot right where my last half double crochet increase was. So I'm going to take, in this case, the shorter of my ends because it naturally falls to the left, and I'm going to thread that down through there. I went ahead and pulled my needle off, and now I'm going to do this. I'm going to thread the other end. And I'm going to choose a different point close by. So here's where I went through with the first tail. I'm going to choose this little spot next to it, one stitch over, to kind of secure the right end. So what that's going to do is it's going to help it just lay a little more naturally, and as you tug those tight, you have it in position. Now it's kind of a flimsy position. You can just go ahead and tie off a knot and then let that be your attachment, but I usually like to position mine a little bit more and then sew it a little bit more to the lemon itself, so that really the only thing that's movable is what's above the lemon, like this. So I'm going to use my end here, and I am going to come back up through a different point. So here's where my yarn is coming out right here. I'm going to go back kind of underneath this top V to the front of my lemon, and I've got the back of my leaf kind of showing here, and I'm just going to try and run through a couple of stitches to help secure that. And then I'm going to run under the front stitches of the front loops here of my next stitch. And then similarly back to the leaf. And then when I pull that tight, I'm going to go ahead and feed that back down through one of the stitches here at the, actually I don't think I'm going to do that one. I'm just going to go ahead back through the same spot as my first end. And when I pull that nice and tight, you can see that that's a lot more secure now. It's not as floppy. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over, and I'm just going to kind of weave under this end, or these stitches here. And then I'm just going to tie a knot. Because like I said, this isn't something that's utilitarian, it's strictly for decor purposes. So I'm not really too worried about my ends popping back out. So I'll just tie a regular old knot, square knot, I believe this is called, you know, the shoelace type. Snip my tails. All right, and that is my leaf. Isn't it cute? Now I'm ready for my stem. Now for my stem, same thing. I'm going to see which tail lies where. Obviously you've got more of a left one from the top of your stitches versus the right one from the beginning of your chains. And I like to work these through the top V of my two stitches up top because I like for it to be kind of close to my leaf, but not like down in the lemon like the leaf is. So I'm going to work them and sew them to the top. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the right, actually I'm going to turn this because I want my little stem is kind of curving off to the left, and because my leaf is going to the right, I kind of want it to offset it like that. So, whoops, There we go. All right, so I've got my right yarn tail and my left yarn tail. I'm going to grab my right one. I'm going to thread my needle. And I want my stem to secure right about here. So I'm going to put the right tail through this stitch and the left tail through this one. So I'm going to go straight down into the middle of the stitch, grab that back loop, and just pull it all the way down. Then I'm going to thread my other yarn tail here and do the same thing the next stitch. So the second stitch here, and as you can see, I'll pull that tight and it goes right in to the top of my stitches. It looks so nice that way. And from here, I'm just gonna tie a square knot again. You can weave in the ends a little more if you feel like it. I'm taking the lazy girl away. Tie that nice and tight. Snip those ends. All right, and there is the finished lemon. Yay! So now, depending on how big you want your bunting to be, you can make as many or as few as you want. I, again, made 4 for my little tiered tray, and I cut my ribbon at 26 inches. But again, this is all subjective. You can cut your ribbon as long or as short, put them as close together or as far apart as you desire. It is completely up to you. So, yeah, that's how you make the little lemon for the mini bunting. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put those below and I will do my best to answer them. Like I said, I will have the pattern written in the description box for you guys in its entirety as well. I think I might go ahead and put this on the blog too with a photo tutorial because I've got pictures for it as well. So if you want to look at it that way, I will link that below for you too. Other than that, that's all I've got for you today. So be sure to hit that like button if you liked this tutorial and this pattern, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any other tutorials or patterns or book reviews or anything like that. And we'll catch you on the next video. Bye guys.